issue today we're talking about separation anxiety, but from the mom's side of separation anxiety. Do you have ever had separation anxiety from your child? Well, I have too. My name is Elizabeth. I am a 43-year-old first-time mother of a now toddler. I started this channel, All These Moms, a few months ago to address the issues and concerns and obstacles that women face in motherhood, which there are plenty. I first noticed after I had a child that there are so many issues that I've had that a lot of moms don't talk about. And I feel like that's a shame. But I get why. A lot of the issues that we go through in motherhood are not something a lot of people want to hear about, but it is something that moms need to talk about and share their story, get support, get feedback, and hopefully tips to help your experience in motherhood be a little bit smoother. Because motherhood is no joke. I almost dropped an F-bomb there, and I would have, but I know some young people might watch this channel. But anyway, it is no joke. Motherhood, there's nothing easy about motherhood. There's not one easy thing about motherhood. So I just want to kind of be open about that, because one of my gifts / curses in life is that I tend to overshare. So I am doing that today. So I know there's different types of separation anxiety, especially if you have a child. Some mothers may go through it when they leave their child for the first time with a new person after on maternity leave. You might have separation anxiety when you take your child to school, things like that. That's personally what I've experienced. Separating from your child is a bittersweet situation. If you're anything like me, I knew that I wanted to work after I had a child. I need that life for myself and that purpose outside of my family. I love my daughter. I live for her. I'm obsessed with her. I will do anything for her, obviously. But I need my own life. I need to have my own purpose, my own things to do, and to have my life be completely centered around my child is not something that I knew would fully satisfy me personally. So I knew I was going to go back to work. But I was not prepared for the realities of separation anxiety for my child. Luckily, I had about 2 months of maternity leave, so I was able to be home with her a lot, every day. Right after I had her for 2 months, and then we were able to get in-home childcare after that. So I realized I am an extremely privileged and fortunate woman. And so I'm very grateful for that. After about 1.5 years of the stay-at-home care, my husband and I decided to put my daughter in preschool part-time, which was a way for her to kind of socialize, get out of the house, build her own experiences, which we are very happy we did. Okay, so the first day I dropped off my daughter at school, when she was when she was about 1.5, we took her to preschool part-time, and I took her to school for the first day. Knew it was going to be hard for her, so I was prepared for that. Took her to school, did the whole routine that I had researched on YouTube and asked several friends about, and asked her teachers about the best way to handle a drop-off routine. Did the whole thing, did all the routine things. But with a 1.5-year-old, you don't really know if that's working. But anyway, I did them anyway. Dropping her off at school the first day was rough. She basically had to be pulled out of my arms. She was crying a little bit. It was rough. I was told to expect this for a bit, so that's basically how it went on. But what I didn't expect was how I would feel after that. After I dropped her off at school and had to have her be pried out of my arms, I was a hot mess. I mean, I was calm and cool for the most part before then, but just seeing her face, like I am giving her away at school, and having her be pulled and having her arms reaching out for me as I'm walking away while she's screaming mama, utterly destroyed me. It completely, I feel like part of my soul died that day. And that continued for a couple of weeks, and then after that, there was no problem. She walked right in. But I remember after that first day, I opened her packet we were given from the school, and one of the flyers in the packet was about separation anxiety, which before I read this flyer, I hadn't really identified that as being the phrase to identify what the stressors of dropping your kid off at school or whatever. So I was reading the flyer on separation anxiety, and I was like, oh my God, this is me. This is all the things that I'm feeling. From the signs of separation anxiety, what to expect with separation anxiety, how to help improve it, blah, 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 blah. And I was reading through this and I was like, did they put this in here for me? I was reading through the flyer and I was like, there's all these different suggestions, like how to identify separation anxiety, different ways one might act out, and different ways to help kind of smooth it out, make the transition easier. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going through all of this. Did they leave this in here for me? I quickly realized it's obviously for your child and how to cope with your child's separation anxiety. But I was like, this is all that I feel as well. So I was like, this is so crazy. I did not expect to go through this also. I was very grateful for that flyer, and just to kind of have like a phrase for what I was feeling and going through, because it was and still is rough. I'm now a little over a year out of my daughter being in school, in preschool. So she's now been in preschool for like a year and a few months. And we're transitioning to a new school, so we're going through this all over again. And the first day I took her to school, which was last week, was utterly devastating for me. Similar situation. We're dropping her off at a new place that she's never been to one time. New teachers, new friends, the whole shebang. And I'm leaving her with a complete stranger, and I'm walking out of the room. And of course, she's screaming, she's crying. It's devastating. We're told to just leave right away. There's nothing else. Anything else just makes it harder. So that's what I did. But again, a piece of my soul dies when I do that. And it's just like so wild how it's so wild how a theme and a pattern I'm noticing about motherhood is that there are so many such scenarios that you find your head is telling you one thing. Your head is telling you like, this is the right thing to do. Taking your child to school is helpful. It helps them build social skills with other little kids. Obviously, they're going to have new stimuli, new challenges, and have a new environment that's enriching for them. There's lots of benefits to this. But your heart, my heart, is a disaster, honestly. I feel like I'm dropping off my daughter, leaving her. She doesn't know. Of course, I tell her I pick her up after nap time, but she doesn't. Does she even know what I'm saying? She's a little over 2.5 years old. I don't know if she understands what I'm saying to her. For all she knows, is I'm leaving her with this stranger, never to come back again. And just like, even though I know that's irrational, because I don't even know, but I feel like it's irrational, but I still feel like I am like abandoning my child, and or she feels abandoned, and I never want my child to feel abandoned. So it's just dropping them off like that is so much harder than I imagined, and I definitely did not expect to feel the way that I feel about it. But like I said, it kind of plays into all the other things that I feel like women go through, or parents can even go through in parenthood, where your logic is telling you one thing, but your heart is telling you something else. And it's rough. But I guess it's hard. It's getting easier. And for me, it gets easier when I see that she's happy to be there. When I see that, when I take her to school and she like walks right into class and sits right down and has a grand old time, I feel much better about that. And that makes me excited for her. Until I see that, I still feel uneasy, unsure if I'm making the right choice. And it's so freaking hard to live with that as a mom and as a parent. And it's just, like I said, one of the things that people just don't talk about enough, in my opinion. And I started noticing that as I started sharing my feelings about this with other moms, or just even close friends, about how I feel about it, and just kind of getting from them like compassion and understanding, that I was like, okay, this is like normal. So many of the choices I feel like we make as mothers are ones you're doing with the best of your knowledge. You're trying to give your kid the best you can, and yet you still feel like it's not enough, or it's the wrong decision, or all of those things. So it's just I feel like it's extremely important to share these sorts of stories with other moms, so we feel less alone, because we're not alone. We all go through this. And I know that myself, being fortunate and privileged, that moms are going through way worse than I am and way harder scenarios. I remember my mom told me that when I was little, they didn't have maternity leave, and so she had to take her kids to daycare when we were like 2 weeks old, or to whatever child care service that she was using. And I couldn't even imagine that. And I felt so lucky that wasn't in that I don't have to deal with that as a mother, taking my child to daycare or wherever at 2 weeks old. So anyway, I just feel like it's so important that we share our stories and support each other. So if you have a story that you would like to share, moms, please do so. Share your story, or share your story with separation anxiety, and how you overcame it in the comments section below. I would love to hear it, and I know other moms will too. Thank you for watching.